Not every child who leaves home is a prodigal. Some are products. We see in Judges 2 where the Israelites had finally settled in Canaan and professed to serve the Lord. But as Joshua and the elder people who had gone through all the battles had passed away, it says that a new generation was birthed that was wicked. And they birthed a generation that was more wicked than before, which was repeating and worsening the cycle. And this cycle would continue and put them into slavery until God would raise up a cycle breaker, a judge, to come and save them and give a time period of rest and resubmission unto God. Now, it'd be real easy in this modern time to say that was a generation of prodigals, of children who had grown wicked and didn't want to adhere to what the previous generation did. But the reality is, it didn't start with them. It started with the older generation and their incomplete obedience. You see, the former generation didn't drive out all the pagans and all the idols like not only God, but Joshua had reminded them to do. So while they had mouths of dedication to God, they were fostering environments that were conducive to rebellion against God, which became a foothold to the feet that followed. And listen, idolatry isn't just serving a false god or an idol. Idolatry's roots is in the very first letter of the word I. When we do things the way we want to instead of the way God tells us to, it fosters a certain environment. And that environment is conducive to further rebellion and also oppression for all those who remain in it. Every child that leaves home isn't a prodigal. Some are products of partially obedient environments. And while partially obedient Christians may make it to heaven, the generation behind them won't. And some that leave home may be the cycle breaker like the Othniels or Heads, because the reality is they are trying to drive out all the people and all the things that are trying to compete for lordship over their life. A prodigal by definition is a reckless and rebellious child that leaves home and wants to live a life contrary to the way they were raised. And while there are parents out there who did everything they knew to do that was right and are experiencing this, and I pray for the heartbreak that they're walking through, using a blanket statement that every child that leaves home is a prodigal is errant, because some are products of partially obedient environments that weren't fully dedicated to God, and others may be cycle breakers that have to choose to be different than what they were raised in order to end the cycle. It sounds a whole lot better to say my child's a prodigal than to say my child's a product because I made some poor choices and it affected them more than it affected me in the initial moment. It sounds a whole lot better to say my child's a prodigal than to say my child's a cycle breaker, and because I wanted to continue the cycle, they had to break away from me.